Dr Channy herself, and then we'll draw the tickets at the end of the round. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Oh, yes, thank you. Round of applause. I'm Dr Channy, my pronouns are she, they, and I would like to start by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of whose land we're gathering here today. I'm so excited to talk to you about Calm Grooming. I started the business Calm Pet Vet 8 months ago, but I've been a vet for over a decade, working with anxious pets and meeting their emotional needs in the clinic, not just their physical needs. So this is a topic very near and dear to my heart, and I'd love for everyone to come away with something new, just even one tidbit of information. So if you've got questions and everything, let's hold them for the end. We're going to have a little Q&A session there too. So, before I get started, I would like to bring Doug and Indy up on stage. Give them a little round of applause. Thank you. Oh yeah. All right. So we have been and gone and got some like special treats today. So Indy is a 7-year-old spoodle, and Indy hasn't done any cooperative care training or low stress grooming training. Indy has only done yesterday's session. So what Dougie's doing here is using a motivator. So a motivator through positive reinforcement. So positive meaning happy, positive, and reinforcement meaning to encourage or to make sure that it happens again. So we're trying to repeat the behaviour that we want through a positive action. So essentially, does anybody know why we use food? Yeah, why do we use food? Sorry? It's yummy. Exactly. Yeah, because food is yummy. Whenever we eat, we get positive endorphins happening in our brain. Because if we didn't, then we wouldn't be motivated to eat. We'd starve and we'd die. So it's the same for our pets. Food equals emotion. Another reason why we use food is it's great to divvy out in tiny little pieces. It's really accessible. We can keep a whole bunch of it in our pocket. We can move around. We can toss it. We can treat it up close. There's all sorts of reasons why we use food in training, but it is a positive reinforcer, and that's the most important part. Now, the whole thing about what Dougie's doing right now is the setup. So we've got our motivator. We want to know what our pet is really into. Is it food? Is it a particular food? We want to make sure that it's a high value treat that we might be using. And we've got our motivator set up. Then we've got our actual setup of our station. Now, this is such a busy, bustling environment, right? Very distracting, a little bit scary even. I think Indy's doing a really good job to sit and stay on this mat when Dougie's asking him, right? Yeah. If we were doing this training in a private environment, we might have some calming music playing, we might have sprayed some pheromones, and we've got our nice soft mat there, and we've got plenty of treats. And what we want to do, hey Indy, no, that's all right. What we want to do is we think about it from their perspective. Think about their 5 senses, right? The touch, the smell, taste, feel. Hang on, I already did that one. Hearing and sight, all right? So we want it nice and calm environment, not anything too intense, all right? And then that's when we start to introduce our grooming tool. Now it could be scissors, it could be the clippers, it could be anything. If it's clippers or whatever, we're going to introduce it turned off, yeah? We happen to have the Refuresh tool here today. And with Indy, what we do is we introduce it to Indy and offer treats at the same time. So Refuresh tool equals treats. Let's see if Indy goes for it. Indy's had a lot of treats today. Indy, whoop. There's a freebie. Indy, what's this? Still looking for that treat, huh? All right, treat? Yes. Yes. Oh, that was a quick look over here. Yes. So I'm luring Indy's gaze please, over to the treat. Yes. Over to the Furminator. Now I'm going to swap hands. Yes. Did you see how Indy looked? Yeah. That was really good, Indy. Well done. Good job. Do you want to sniff that? You can check that out if you like. Oh, good job. Thank you, Dougie. Yes. Lots and lots of treats. Use high value rewards often. Good job, Indy. That's such a good job. So we've got our setup and we're starting to introduce the training. So we've got our positive reinforcer, we've got our motivator, and we've got our trying to do a bit of a calm setup here. And Indy has already associated that the Refresh tool with treats. So that's just absolutely amazing. Hey, good job. Over here. What's this? Yes. What's that? What's this? Yes. Good boy. Okay. What comes next is bringing the tool closer to Indy. So we're going to let Indy pull away. It's all about consent, okay? We're going to reward Indy for letting us come into Indy's space. Isn't that right, dude? Hey, what have I got? I'm going to maybe touch. Good boy. Can I touch this there? Yes. Good boy. So what I'm using is called a touch gradient. So most dogs don't mind their chest or their shoulders being touched. So I've gone to the least sensitive area on Indy first. Chest and shoulders. And you know, you can see that the guard is still on. I'm not doing anything but touching and rewarding Indy for letting me touch. Then the next step would be I might start to do one little movement, still with the guard on, and treat that. One little movement, treat, etc., etc., until I'm able to take this off, and that's a new step, is to run the refresh through the fur. Good job, Indy. I think Indy's doing so well. Indy was like all over the stage yesterday. And the best part about the Refresh tool is that it's got this adjustable head, which means I'm not trying to get into all sorts of angles to make sure that I've got this at the most comfortable position, that 30 degrees to the skin as I'm grooming, yeah? Making sure that we've got that nice and smooth so that it's not painful for the dog, and we use small strokes when we actually have the tool, when we're actually running the tool through the fur. We're using small strokes and we're moving around. Generally, it's least painful to start on the thigh, so you can start back there, but that's a touch gradient that you'll have desensitized. Hello, is that a touch? Oh, good boy. Yes. That we'll have moved all the way down to the leg from the shoulders. We'll have just moved that down. Does anybody have a pet that already hates grooming? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mine too. Yeah. She was, when I adopted Lulu, this is Indy, when I adopted Lulu, she hated grooming. And at the moment, I've got her to, when I groom her face, one snip, one treat. That's the rule that we've got going on at the moment. That's the agreement. One snip versus one treat. And we've slowed it right down to that. So she knows that if she sits still and lets me snip a clump off her face, she gets a treat. She's a wide-haired Chihuahua cross terrier, so she's got bits all over her face. Bless her. So what Dougie's doing here is letting Indy come off the mat, which is really good because this is all about Indy's consent, yeah, and Indy's moment. We're rewarding Indy for letting us be in Indy's space. Oh, good job, mate. Really well done. Hey. So, with that in mind, when we get down to things like taking the guard off, running running the Refuresh tool through the skin, taking small strokes, making sure we're not creating pain for our pet, that we're keeping it nice and short and sweet. If there's any knots and we try to work on them but they're just not coming out, we are going to shave off those knots. Don't try and work on those knots if they're too big. If they're any bigger than this, they're a shave job. Patchwork dogs are okay. Let's all accept that patchwork dogs are okay, because sometimes they have let us do one arm and then they've had enough and we need to maybe stop there. Yeah. So one thing that I'd love for you to all take away from today is letting your dog tell you when to stop. Yeah. So with Indy, it's all about being on the mat is okay, we can touch, and if Indy comes off the mat, then we're not going to do any of this stuff. Yeah, this stuff only happens when Indy's on the mat, and Indy's allowed to pull away at any time. So with that in mind, does anyone have any questions? We've got a roving mic. Yes, front row.
Hello.
Hi there.
So with the treat and groom and treat and groom, would you do that every single time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. So they need predictability, so that what they come to predict is that grooming equals treats. Yeah, yep. And consistency is the way to do that. Yeah, yep. Great question. Any other questions? Yeah.
If you're giving treats all of the time, like lots of treats, what do you recommend you could give them? Like what kind of treats are good?
Yeah, so we've got high value and low value treats, which is individual to your pet. Your pet will have their favourite treats, and then they'll have other treats that are just a bit meh. What you want to do is use a combination so that they're getting high treats sometimes, a little bit of medium value treats another time, and if you mix it up, then they'll hopefully work on that a little bit harder for it. The other thing that I like to recommend is incorporating some of their kibble. If you feed dry food, use a little bit of the portion in your treat pouch, because we don't want them getting overweight. 1 in 2 pets in Australia is overweight, so it's a big concern that we have. So incorporating some of their dry food into your treat pouch, and make sure you've got some really high value treats mixed in there too, is going to be the dream. Yeah, lots of nodding, good. Excellent, good question, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry if this goes out of topic, but in regards to you treating the dog when you show the grooming tool, that sort of stuff, could you also apply that to like home appliances? So for example, like a vacuum?
Absolutely, yeah. So like a vacuum cleaner in the corner of the room, if they notice it, they get a treat. Yeah, with the vacuum turned off. And then we slowly get closer to the vacuum and we're getting more treats. And then maybe we might like get next to the vacuum and sit and we get treats. And then maybe, look, turning the vacuum on is a huge step, yeah? We might want to do that in another room. So work in a pair, turn the vacuum on, lots of treats, turn the vacuum off, stop the treats. Yeah, yeah, but like in another room far away, because we want to make the stimulus quite small, yeah, and then in little increments at the pace of your pet, yeah. So what you want to do is know their body language, know their ear position, their eyes, their pupil size, how tight their face is, how pulled back their mouth might be, how tense their body is. All of that sort of thing can really tell us how your pet is feeling and whether or not you should pause, maybe even take it back a step, or whether you're free to go forward. Yeah, good question. Hey there. There we go.
My dog has same issue with vacuum.
Yeah.
But he's barking and chasing the vacuum.
Chasing the vacuum. Oh, that's a fun one.
So separate them.
Yeah, separate them.
So turn on the vacuum in one room. If he's not barking or chewing, give the treat.
Absolutely, yeah. You can do that desensitization, but if they're so wound up that they're maybe not even taking treats, then you might want to talk to a veterinarian about that. It might not just be a little bit scared, it might be a full-blown phobia, and phobias are not rational. We can't speak to our pets or even people when they're in a phobic situation. It's like a panic attack. So if they're in that panic attack zone, then maybe we talk to a vet about ways that we can keep them from getting into the panic attack zone. Yeah, another question. Awesome. We're keeping her on her feet.
Our puppy tries to bite on the tools.
Tries to bite the tools? Yeah, okay. So we want to maybe avoid that. So if they're biting the tools, maybe, make some distance between the puppy and the tools and focus on just the attention. So if they get the attention, they get the treat. And then slowly maybe touch the tool. Maybe lure them to stay focused with one treat, and then another treat for letting them touch, to keep the tool away from their mouth. Yeah. How old is your puppy? 5 months? Yeah, we've got some teething going on there too, yeah. So maybe make sure you've got some nice teething toys around. Let them have a really good chew, maybe before you've got the session going. Yeah.
Any final questions for Dr. Channy?
No. Thank you so much for having me. I'd just like to say to Refresh, thanks for letting me get up here and talk about what I'm so passionate about. Thank you everybody for listening. I know that you're all here because you love your pets, and we just want to do the best by them. So if you're interested in the Refresh tool, you can grab them over on the stand there. There's a special price because we're at the show, of course.